ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी प्रबुद्धानंद भगवान की जय। माता पिता की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम भगवद गीता की जय हो। ओम श्रीमद् भगवद गीता चैप्टर 3 वर्स नंबर 27। प्रकृते क्रियामाणानि गुणे कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते। प्रकृते गुणः, by the gunas of prakriti, sarvashah, in various ways, karmani, actions, kriyamanani, are performed, ahankara vimuddha atma, one who is deluded by the I notion, aham karta, I am the doer, iti, thus, manyate, thinks. Actions are performed in various ways, impelled by the gunas of prakriti, the body, mind and senses. Deluded by the I notion, one thinks I am the doer. Prakriti means cause, that one of which all the things come from, the potential cause of anything. There are two aspects to an individual: Purusha, meaning Atma, the self, Chaitanya, consciousness, and Prakriti, also called Avidya or Maya. Your body, mind, and senses are modifications, vikaras, creations born out of Prakriti, which depends entirely on the Purusha, the Vastu, the things to be understood. Prakriti being the cause, anything born of it is called Prakriti Vikara. Prakriti Guna, meaning modification. The word Guna has to be seen in its proper context in order to understand its meaning, because it has many meanings. It can be any simple attribute, Visheshana, like yellow color. In yellow flower, an adjective is a guna. Yellowness is a guna of a flower. Guna is also a technical term for sattva, rajas and tamas, which indicates certain conditions of the mind as well as the constitute of maya or avidya. A virtue is called guna. For example, a person of ethics, one who has good heart and stately qualities is called gunavan. Yah vyakti gunwan hai. Another meaning of guna is not gant. And in Sanskrit grammar, guna is one of the many technical terms given by Pinani. It indicates a vowel, a, and dispoting e or o. Gunas is also a particular modification, vikara. In this verse, we have prakriti guna. By the modification of prakriti, meaning by the mind, senses, and physical body, all three are prakriti gunas. In this technical language of Sanskrit, this body, mind, and sense complex is kriya karana sangata. We have already seen that the physical body is a karya, and the mind senses, and prana and karana, the assemblage sangata of the physical body and senses, is called guna. Here, being the modification of guna of the prakriti, all actions are performed by the prakriti gunas. The physical limbs, mind and senses alone, actions are performed in various ways based on various sources of knowledge for the purpose of achieving various ends. Thus, there are actions enjoyed by the Vedas, Vaidika karma, and all other activities, Laukika karma. All these type of are covered here, whether they are pursuits met for gaining knowledge or gaining various other results. Here or in hereafter, a Vimuddha Atma thinks, I am the doer. The person who thinks he or she is the doer of these various actions is referred to in this verse as Ahankara Vimuddha Atma. Ahankara Vimuddha Atma. Meaning one who is deluded by the notion he or she has about the I, the Atma. The I notion or I sense has all the attributes. When you say, I am so and so, the karya, the physical body, and the karana, the mind and sense, are the integral part of your ahankara alone. The person who has become deluded, vimuda, in many ways. In fact, delusion is multifaceted. One delusion with varieties of nuances. One big knot with innumerable knots within knots. These knots are variety of problems and notions that a person has. Ahankara implies many notions, beginning with I am mortal. And the I notion is connected to hundreds of notions about oneself. For example, religious notion brands one as religious. Then the person says he or she belongs to this or that religion. And so on. This is just one of the innumerable problems brought about by notions. All such notions are about this I and are expressed by this I. The ahankara itself includes all these notions. The starting point of ahankara is the karya karana sangata, the body, mind, sense complex centered on which is concluded, I am as good as this body, mind and senses. And over a period of years, we keep gathering a variety of notions about this I. No baby thinks I am white or black. Caution or niggard. Only as the child grows up does he or she slowly begins to pick up such notions. One's whole life is spent gathering more and more notions about oneself, and this is what is meant when it is said, his mind is deluded, vimuda. The Vimud Atma, the one whose mind is deluded in 100 different ways by the Ahankara, thinks that he or she is doer, Atma Karta. Even though it is a physical body, mind, and senses that perform the action, the person is one who is aware of all the actions. In other words, the one who lights them up. He or she knows that what does what, but at the same time is still able to think. I am the doer. This, therefore, is no ordinary avidya. It is not ignorance of an object or of a discipline of knowledge. It is self-delusion, because the self is not clear, the obvious is not an all obvious. On the other hand, one who knows the Atma, the Atmavit or the Jnani, does not take oneself to be the Karta, as we shall see in next 3 verses. To tell someone who looks upon himself or herself as Karta that he or she is not the Karta only confuses the person. Nothing is ever said in Shastra to suggest that one should not do karma. The Shastra says you are not the doer, and that is knowledge is moksha. You can live a life of renunciation, or you can live a life of karma yoga. In either case, knowledge is moksha. This is what it is said. To tell a person who thinks he or she is a karta not to do karma is meaningless. Even if someone does no karma, it does not mean that the one is not doing karma. As long as the person is a karta, one's every move is karma. Standing is karma. Listening to someone is karma. Everything becomes karma because the person thinks he or she is the karta. As long as this notion is there, one will always be doing one thing or the other thing, that one is the doer. If at all you are to teach such a person, you will have to try to make the person understand that he or she is a karta. The understanding is purely jnana, and has nothing to do with the doing or not doing the karma. Verse number 28. The wise are not attached to karma. Tattvavitu mahabaho gun karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vratanta iti matva na sajjate. Tu, whereas mahabaho, O the mighty armed, Arjuna, guna karma vibhagayo, the distinction between the body, mind, sense complex and action, tattva iti, knower of the truth, gunas, sense, mind and organs of action, guneshu, in gunas vartate, express themselves, iti matva, knowing thus this, na sajjate, is not bound. Whereas Arjuna, the mighty armed, the knower of the truth of gunas and action, is not bound, knowing that gunas express themselves in gunas, body, mind, sense complex. In this verse, Krishna contrasted the jnani with the ajnani mentioned in the previous verse. The ignorant person takes the body, mind, sense complex, karya karan sangatha as oneself, and oneself to be the karya karan sangatha, thereby making no distinction between the two. This lacks discrimination, is where individuality comes from, that which makes one seem unique and distinct. The jnani, on the other hand, while taking the body, mind, sense complex as himself or herself, no doubt does not take the self to be the body, mind and senses. The jnani takes the body, mind and sense complexes as himself,
but does not take self as the body, mind and sense organs. If the Jnani were not identified with the body, mind, sense complex, in this way, talking, walking, seeing, hearing, and thinking would not be possible. Since the Jnani thinks, does action, and so on, he or she also naturally has the ahankara. Here, the karya, karan, sangata, atma is called the ahankara. The nature of delusion. Thus, both Jnani and the Ajnani have this ahankara. The difference between the two being that Jnani does not take the self to be karya, karan, sangata, whereas Ajnani does, which is why there is sansara for him or her. Sansara is the self for the self. Because the Atma is taken to be Karya Karan Sangata Atma. There are individuals, each of whom is unique and distinct from each other individually. Thus, there is an as though division and though duality, Dvaita. The Shruti does not say there is Dvaita. It only says that there is as though duality, as though duality appears. Dvaitam eva bhavati. Whereas there is this as though duality, there is death, mrityu, there is time, there is sansara. The Jnani is referred to as Tattva iti in this verse. The suffix tattva is added to a noun to convey its abstract sense, its essence. For example, the truth or essence of pot, ghatshaya tattvam, becomes ghatatva. Potness, in English the suffix ness is used in the same way. That is a pronoun and such can stand for anything. Thus, tattva refers to that which is the truth of essence of everything. Tasya bhava. The one who knows the truth about oneself, the world, and God is tattvait. And the one who does not know the truth is called atvat, atvavit. In this verse, Tattvavit refers to the one who knows the truth of the gunas, the modification, that is body, mind, sense complex, as well as of the karmas, meaning that person can distinguish between the two. The distinction, vibhaga, here is the body, mind, sense complex is an instrument to karana. A karana is not the atma. Is an instrument. A karan is not atma. The atma is not the karan, the sense organ or the mind or the karya, the physical body. While the mind and senses perform their action, there are only karanas, instruments. Atma is not an instrument. It is the self, the content of the subject, the doer. Therefore, a distinction is to be made between the essence of the subject and the instrument. The subject cannot be taken as an instrument because the instrument being wielded by the subject is necessarily in the hands of the subject. You are handling the body, you are handling the mind and senses. The subject cannot be taken as everything that it handles. Just as you cannot take the spoon and fork that you eat with you as yourself. That you are holding the fork in your hand does not mean that the fork is you. It is simply an instrument that you wield. Similarly, you wield your mind and sense, you operate them. Your will, your physical body, you operate it. Therefore, they are merely instruments. And doership imputed to Atma is simply a thought belonging to the mind. The one who knows the Karana as the Karana and the Atma as the Atma is one who knows the truth of both. The one who knows the truth of Atma also knows the truth of Anatma and is therefore Tattvavit. This then is what is meant by Guna Vibhaga. Atma is not the Karta. Atma does not perform any action. Only the gunas perform the action. Action does not come from Atma. It emanates from the gunas, from the karya karana, from the physical body, mind, senses alone. The fancy or desire is modification of the mind. But you may not go along with the desires or fancy. Many desire rise and falls simply because we do not bother about them. This happens because of particular function of the mind that enables you to decide whether to go along with the desire or not. In such a decision, there are various considerations, pragmatic or ethical considerations. Among others, is this necessary for me? Is a pragmatic consideration undertaken by the Atma in form of buddhi. With the organs of action or the sense organs, you perform karma. Whatever you do, eat, walk, or engage yourself in any kind of pursuit, some sense organ is involved. The truth of the karma, however, is that Atma is not directly involved in the activity. Atma is not a desire or a decision, nor does it desire to make decisions. Desires and decisions are always in the form of vrittis, modifications of the mind. These vrittis are Atma, no doubt, but Atma is none of them. Thus, all karma emanates from modification of the mind, vrittis, and does not come from Atma. The karmas emanate from the modification of the mind, vrittis, and does not come from the Atma. Everything is modification of Prakriti alone. The one who knows the nature of karma and the nature of Atma, and therefore distinction between the two, looks upon Prakriti as it really is, Prakriti also called Maya. It is entirely the cause of everything, in that it modifies itself into everything. The body, mind, senses are Prakriti, and the sense object, the world, Jagat, are also Prakriti. All are modifications, gunas of Prakriti alone. And these two Prakritis are in touch with each other. One Prakriti is Karya Karana Prakriti, in the form of instruments and perceptions and action, and the other Prakriti is in form of object, Vaishatmika Prakriti, Vaishatmika Prakriti. These verses explain that gunas in the form of instruments of perception and action engage themselves in activity in the spheres of their respective object, guneshu. So the eyes engage themselves in the sphere of form, rupa, the form being guna. Sight itself is guna, and seen object is also guna. Similarly, hearing is guna, and the objects heard, the sound, are also guna. In this way, guna, guneshu, with the reference to object, vartante, engage themselves in activity. This means that I do not perform any action at all. Knowing this, the wise person is not bound. Matva na sajate, matva na sajate. Knowing the truth of Atma and Karma, the Tattviti does not become attached to any karma. Knowing the truth of Atma and Karma, the Tattviti does not become attached to any karma. Such attachment is not possible because the person knows that he or she does nothing. To become attached, there must be a vritti, which is non-separate from Atma, while Atma is always free from vritti, because there is no connection, no attachment between vritti and Atma. There can be no attachment to karma for one who knows that Atma is always free. That is, for one who knows that Atma is asanga. Atma is not attached to vritti. Vritti is, whereas vritti is attached to Atma. Atma is always free from vrittis. These vrittis makes, with the help of modification with the mind, does the karmas. The problem arises when you say you must become asanga, detached. You do not become asanga, that you are asanga, in fact, to be known. You are not asanga. You do not become asanga. You are asanga, is a fact to be known. There is no becoming here. You can never become detached. You cannot detach from anything. What you want to be detached from is always in your head. Therefore, you can never detach from it. Even when you say you are detached from it, you are already attached, because you are talking about. A person who throws away some garbage and say, I give away my garbage, still has the garbage in his or her head. Garbage is in the head. The garbage was outside and now it is inside. This is exactly how we have collected so much of garbage. As the nature of Atma, detachment is already an accomplished fact. Detachment is already there. Knowing this, one is not bound. Iti matva na sajjate. The person looks upon himself or herself as a non-doer. Akarta aham. Akarta aham. Akarta aham asmi. Actionless itself. Doing, I am the non-doer. While doing the actions, while doing the karmas, akarta aham asmi, actionlessness itself. Previously, Krishna said that by not performing an action, a person does not gain naishkramya, the state of actionless. Knowing the self to be free from any type of action, doership is not there. Knowing, knowledge, it is only in the knowledge. Non-doer is only in the knowledge, eyes of knowledge. It is from the eyes of the knowledge. Knowing the self to be free from any type of action, doership is not there. When there is no doership, there is no karma. In this sense, knowing there is no doership, a person is free from all the karmas. This then is the difference between tatvaiti and atatvavit. Tatvavit and atatvavit. How to help others in terms of this knowledge? When this is so, what should you do? Suppose you know you are a karta and the other person whose welfare you are interested in takes himself or herself to be karta, you should tell the person not to do karma. Definitely not. Please don't ask anybody not to do karmas. If at all he or she is available for this knowledge, all you can say is, Atma is a karta. Atma is a karta. This alone is the truth, and anything else is distortion of it. To tell someone not to do karma is the same as saying that performing karma is bondage. If the person still looks upon oneself as karta, being deluded in this way, you will only become lazy, nothing more. Therefore, all you can do is tell the person to do karma, but to do it according to dharma. You can say only this much. That is what the scripture also enjoins. Not performing any action will eventually result in person doing something that is not to be done. What is not proper for you is not proper for the other person also. There are universal implications inherent in all action. If you compromise with the universal fact, for example, by robbing someone, even though you yourself do not want to be robbed, you may think you can get away with it, but you cannot. This the scriptures tell you. Otherwise, you would not need a scripture. Common sense would be enough. The scripture does not need to tell me that it is wrong to rob. This I knew even as a child. When my elder brother took the chocolate out of my hand, I complained to the heavens. I cried and created havoc in the house, because I knew very well that he robbed what I held as mine. He took it away. Everyone is very clear at this point and does not need a scripture for it. Do you? Nor we do need someone to come and preach us about things we already know. What the scriptures and preachers are saying, however, least we do not know it, is that we should not think we can get away with improper actions. This then is an extra revelation, extra information provided by the scripture. It says that the reason you do not get away with improper action is because there is a law that is impossible to get around. The moment you commit a wrong action, a debit is registered against your name. The whole law is based on credit and debit, both of which are automatically recorded in your account. Also, there is no way of manipulating this law. It is already programmed to record whatever action you perform. Everything has been taken care of. This law is not a computer that you, the wizard of Karta, can manipulate. You can, however, erase it by means of different operation. This is additional information that scripture may talk about, because the information is revelation. Something that we have no other way of knowing. The scripture is given the status of revealed knowledge. A person who performs action because he or she looks upon himself or herself as the karta should not be told to refrain from action, because karma is bondage. In a bondage, no doubt, but telling the person so is not going to make him or her free from the bondage. If, however, you really care for the person and he or she cares for your words, then you can share what you know. Otherwise, your talk will just go over the person's head. It is like someone who is interested in this knowledge trying to explain to his or her parents what he or she is studying, because the parents do not understand. They will only ask themselves what they did wrong for their child to have been steered in such a useless direction. We must have been little too severe, and that is why our child listened to the Swami. They may say, to attempt an explanation is only to make them feel guilty, because it is impossible to convince them of the true worth of this knowledge. You may care for the welfare of those who do not understand. But they too have to care for your words. Otherwise, they will only sympathize with you, feeling that you are completely deluded. And if they do not care for your words, you can tell them the truth that Atma is a Karta. In the modern literature on Vedanta, you may read that you must become a Sangha. This is why some people spend an entire lifetime trying to become a Sangha. It is also sometimes said that you should experience the Sangha Atma. There is an experience of an object of experience, and Atma is to be experienced by another Atma who is an experiencer. All that you experiences this way is Anatma, not Atma. Because Atma as a Sangha is fact to be recognized. Krishna further cautioned the wise not to confuse those still think of themselves as doer. Never confuse. People are bound in terms of gunas and karmas. This we'll see tomorrow. Om Tat Sat. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Harihi Om Tat Sat.